Hello, everyone. It is Hotline League episode 138. We're coming right at you live from Los Angeles, California, and it's going to be a spicy one tonight. Is not only do we have another team that has qualified in, but we're going to have a TSMTL grudge match coming up this weekend.
Double of Tate's tactical for stealing his job. Of
course, this
he said it in an interview today, or on a stream today.
This is that true?
No, it was the opposite.
Oh, well. Anyway, this show's sponsored by Alienware. I'm joined by my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman. How's it going, Mark?
It's going. I'm really curious how it's going for you, to be honest, given that, it's August 31st.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What are you referencing?
Nothing. I just, it's almost a new month. I always feel like new months are big deals, so I'm just curious how you're doing.
I'm hanging in there, is what I would say.
Is this how the conversation's going to go tonight? I'm pretty scared.
You're going to be out of the loop on everything.
Yeah, I don't get this.
Everyone is out of the loop on this. It's just like a Mark and Travis thing. Mark. Okay, here's what I'll say. Mark asked me for a favor. I hard committed ambitiously to finishing that favor by the end of August.
And I did not undersell the favor and repeatedly told him, pretty big favor.
That is true.
Checking every time I checked in, and he was like, I made no progress. I'd be like,
and while I have made dramatic progress in the last few days, there's a world in which I will have to file an extension on that favor. For 24 hours or something. Although
I can't believe it.
I'm
so shocked.
I believe I can submit daily for the next 3 days 1/3 of the project to him for his analysis. So I feel pretty confident about that. Anyway.
Okay.
Pr0lly.
So you made a promise and broke it.
Yeah, yes. Basically.
So like Kant hates you
repeatedly.
Right,
but I'm doing pretty good at I'm barely breaking it. And for what the promise is, I feel okay about how this is going.
It was like you had to remortgage the promise at least 2 or 3 times though. And then you still came up short. Like, I am the most lenient landlord of all time.
Anyway, the whole point is rent is due on the 1st, and Mark has been helping me a lot financially lately. And if anybody wants to sub to the channel,
there's actually no metaphor here. Travis is broke, and he's supposed to pay me back, and he can't do it still.
The truth still sets you free.
Pr0lly is here. Pr0lly, how are you doing?
Oh, good. Just waiting for next week's playoff games. Hopefully, expecting some change for next week. Then during the downtime, I'm just waiting to watch more League.
Nice. We do literally just stare at a wall and wait for League to hit?
Yep, this one right here. Oh my god, it's beautiful. It's mostly a uniform color. There's some smudges, but overall, this wall is pretty beautiful.
Beyond watch Community and Parks and Rec again and shit like that, and not The Office.
And The Office.
You're like the basic white girl of Netflix entertainment and like those kinds of things.
I think I'm the basic smart person who watches good TV shows, but that's just me.
I've raised the volume on myself and my guests, so Twitch chat, tell me if it's too much. Because people are complaining. Yell more? No one ever says anything until the show starts, and then they complain.
During the week, I usually just play video games and watch other TV shows. Like I'm rewatching Good Place, rewatched 30 Rock, because I actually don't remember the end of 30 Rock at all. I think I was watching it while I was falling asleep for a month, so I had to catch up on what's happening for 30 Rock.
Isn't that dead? Didn't they cancel? It's over, right?
Yeah, I think it's over. Okay. But the last season, how it wrapped up, I just the comedy style kind of was wearing on me, and then Tracy Morgan was has less agency in the show, and he's just my favorite character. Just everything.
You mean priority or agency?
This time I mean agency.
Okay.
We could talk about that at one point tonight because that is a fun one.
We'll see. Our callers are pretty dumb. It's unlikely we get into the minutia of.
It's possible.
By the way, speaking of pretty dumb, I was mocked for my take that C9 should auto-qualify for Worlds.
Immediately.
And now who's laughing? Because it sounds as though C9 will be auto-qualified into Worlds. You heard about this, right, Mark?
Huh?
Wait, have you guys not heard about this?
What? No.
Oh, this is great.
Oh, I'm going to guess what you're about to say and tell me if I'm wrong. I actually
Okay.
have no idea what the fuck you're about to say, but I have a feeling. I just saw some tweets about the VCS having problems sending
Yes.
teams. Are we getting their spot?
So that is the current rumor that it is being considered.
Oh.
That because if you think about it, they send 2 teams. If they can't, there are 2 major regions that aren't sending teams right now, right? Or like a 4th team.
Right.
So wouldn't it be interesting if you had to fill out those 2 final slots and you did it by adding a 4th team from the 2 major regions that don't at the moment?
Empire in chat says ESPN report will be a 22-man Worlds. But how do you do that in group stage? Or I guess you just you promote more teams through play-ins, and so the groups, there's more teams promoted through play-ins, I guess, and it's still a 16 seed group stage.
I mean, I'm not convinced that they aren't adding in two additional teams. Like everything's in motion right now, but like until Riot confirms it, I'm not convinced that they're not adding it. Especially since we only heard the Vietnam stuff for
what you
for
should do. You should say conclusive. Like we should report this conclusively. So
No. I'm not reporting it conclusively.
Watch the viewership skyrocket as.
So I don't even think that the Vietnam stuff has been conclusively reported yet.
Yeah, I literally saw it on Twitter like an hour ago or something.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I'm not willing to, because that hasn't even been confirmed. I'm not even sure if I am down to say whether or not that they would do the 22 thing or not. I'd say this is all up in the air.
I would love if they got some like scrappy, like fuck it, Golden Guardians and C9 in the backyard, fucking go scrap it out. One of you guys is going.
So
Figure it out.
I don't think they can add more games though. It has to be like a decision based on where the playoffs has ended right now.
Nah, just make them play. What are they doing?
I don't think they make them
pandemic.
Play. I think they just send C9. So you guys know the format more than I. How easy would it be to switch to a 22-man Worlds or 22?
You just have to place so if they gave a 4th spot to Korea and North America, they would have
just
to
drag and drop them into the bracket.
Yeah, you'd have to drag and drop them in.
If you remove 2 teams, what does that do to the bracket?
So they're coming. I figure, you would open it up more to play-ins. So right now, 1 team from every group is seeded from play-ins. I guess you would randomly decide that
one group two groups have 3.
Yeah, or I guess because the VCS does have a pre-seeded spot, right? So you'd have to be giving that up somehow. I'm looking at the main event to make sure I'm not crazy.
Because also there's a chance SKT doesn't go yet, right? They're not confirmed in.
Yeah, Korea still needs to do their everything else. The only team from Korea right now is DRX.
So I just feel like if you are the person running Worlds, and you can either run like a really awkward play-ins, or you can guarantee that C9 goes and another LCK team, possibly SKT, if they don't, if they end up 4th or whatever. I feel like you make the decision to bring in the 2 new teams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because like where these seeds are currently, that wouldn't go. Like Vietnamese number 1 seed's not in, but then they have a play-in seed. But the way play-ins usually happens is that team is there's a group stage and play-ins as well that goes seeds into like a little bracket thing.
I gotcha.
You'd be missing a team in brackets. So that means you'd have to pull more teams out of it. I'm not exactly sure, because I'm not sure where all the seeds are lacking.
Okay.
But you could do it. You would hypothetically just be promoting more people over time. But how you would do it feels pretty unfair.
Yeah, if you're seeded into that group of 4, you're going to be pretty upset if you're not in the group of 3.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So like, it's hard to feel as though it, like, again, if you are the person, like the commissioner of the World Championships, it feels like it's better for, obviously everyone's going to accuse me of being biased because, sending a 4th NA team would be great, but like, it feels like it'd be better to just have the full play-ins rather than have 2 less.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
Like I said, one of the the VCS first seed isn't even a playing team. It's just in Group C, or it's just in like the
I see what you're saying.
right. So one seed that would potentially be missing is in the main stage already, and one is in play-ins, and then you're just like in this really weird.
Oh, so it's
world.
only one group of 3 for play-ins then.
Yeah, one group of 3 from play-ins would get an extra person promoted, probably if I'm understanding it correctly, and then. Yeah, I don't know. It's fucked.
So that means there's going to be one group stage group that's going to be missing someone?
Yeah, I guess right now what you would do is you'd promote an extra team out of play-ins.
Right, but then you're also missing a team in play-ins. So you're
like
the whole thing would be whack as hell.
Yeah.
So, Empire says you just put the 4th LPL seed in main stage. So anyway,
but every team you bump up opens up a new opportunity somehow, and you have to fill that with someone. And the question is always, who is the appropriate person to fill that with?
So people that are smarter than I, because this is like a breaking thing, this is a great fun thing to do on this show, is like people that are smarter than I when it comes to the format, maybe Empire or other folks in the chat, feel free to, that's I'm sure a take that we can have tonight is how Riot should handle having 2 Vietnamese teams that can't make it potentially, and how you fill this in, assuming all these alleged rumors are true. So
this is a mighty hypothetical.
Is it a mighty hypothetical? I mean, I think the Vietnam stuff seems to be like, I'm pretty confident based on the fact that seemed to come out of multiple locations. Like there was a Reddit thread before ESPN reported it, for some Southeast Asian media that were reporting it as well. So I feel pretty confident that there's at the very least issues with the Vietnamese teams. Maybe they're going to work it out and everything will be fine, but it sounds like there's at least some problems. So
yeah.
So people are asking, what are the rumors? Can you please explain it? The rumors are that the two Vietnamese teams that would attend Worlds cannot because of COVID restrictions related to, and again, like this is just stuff that I've read. I'm talking about the secondhand, but supposedly Vietnam has restrictions around people re-entering the country, which would restrict their teams from going to China and then coming back. There's a chance that the Vietnamese Worlds teams do not participate, which would, by the way, we're making a lot of jokes about NA going and all that stuff, but I do feel really bad for the Vietnamese teams that perhaps couldn't go, because like, how can you imagine how shitty it would feel for all of us if it turned out tomorrow that the North American teams couldn't go and that they'd spend all this? So I think that's really disappointing. But it does raise the conversation around what do you do if this is true? So we can talk about that on Hotline League tonight as the show progresses. Other stuff, obviously TSM made it. C9 as of right now has not made it.
No, they just did. You just told us.
As of right now, C9 has made it. No.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I just tweeted, that you just leaked that C9 is still going to Worlds.
I hope. Probably a joke. Unless. Okay. Great. Glad. I'm not going to. Normally I retweet these tweets from you. I'm not going to retweet that one. Okay.
Unless.
So that happened. TL, Flyquest emerges the victor in the TL match. I think that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we'll talk about that. Immortals drops for their players and their coach. I have an interesting take on that, which is I think Riot should probably introduce some sort of rule that prevents you from dropping your players after roster lock happens, unless you pay them out. Because I think what happens here, unless I'm wrong, I kind of think like, okay, so Academy has pretty low minimums on what you can pay people or what you have to pay people in comparison to LCS.
Mm.
Well, if you drop them right after Academy stuff happens, you just cut like a quarter of what you need to pay them out, right? Because there's however many months left. So I think that's kind of...
I don't think that's how people... I should say that I'm pretty outdated since the last time I've talked. Like, I know what a player's contract is structured like. I've heard clauses and stuff, but like, I think that you would get prorated for like the number of game, like when you promoted into LCS, your salary get prorated based off that, and like, I thought you got paid with the expectation that like when the split ended, that's like when your contract is up.
So Papa Smithy says players have minimum X months of salary on exit based on negotiation, which would imply that it's on the agent who needs to do that, right? So the reason I say I have more concerns about that for academy players is how many of these academy players have agents. Like I'm pretty confident that LCS players have done that
but
stuff.
This is
but
only
I wouldn't
LCS players, right? Like I don't think the Immortals Academy got released. It's just the LCS and then the coach.
Technically, SOAS was on Academy then, but
oh, okay, yeah.
Let me see the.
I mean, it was Alltech.
It was Alltech Gate, but they were starters initially. So
well, yes, but I guess I'm talking about what that roster looked like at the end. My point is, if you told me that like some of those players don't have that stuff in their contract, like Ica, for instance, I would not be surprised. It just, I don't know. I don't mind, like, whatever, it's fine if a team wants to drop their academy players or their LCS players or whatever. I just want to make sure that, like, those guys aren't, you don't have to duck their stuff. Anyway, whatever. Was a conversation, though, about perhaps Immortals sparked by that.
We also have the actually interesting topics. Finals weekend coming up, dude. We gotta do predictions and stuff. It will
Finals
TSM
weekend
beat TL, and then who's Flyquest gonna beat in the finals? Flyquest is the best North American team by leaps and bounds.
MVP gets revealed this week, right?
Yep. Who's gonna be the MVP?
Oh, yeah, I forgot that hasn't been released yet.
I know, because it's been so long.
A month ago, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The playoffs is so much. Is playoffs just longer now? Or
I think it's an extra week longer,
right?
Because they built in Gauntlet, essentially.
Okay.
Like, I think we would have been done by this past weekend. But since
I think we would have started a week later. Because normally I think there's a week break.
Yeah, I remember a week break a lot of that.
I mean, I know that I don't know how they adjusted the schedule, but Google Photos was telling me I was in Detroit, like, I don't know, a year ago, 10 days ago. So, there you go.
Knows where you are.
What?
Nothing.
Is there anything else we're forgetting? Any big news from this past week? Twitch chat, you got anything? Nope. Okay. Let's move on to the meat of the show, which is, of course, the callers. Mark, do you want to explain how this works?
I saw a funny Reddit comment that was like, every week Travis asks Mark if he wants to explain it. Mark says no. Travis says it's been a while since you've explained it, and then he explains it anyways. And we do it every week. So the way this show works, it's a live call-in show, and I'm spamming Twitch chat with the Discord link. Go ahead and join up there. When you get there, join one of the Pleb Calls voiced channels, and you're going to mute your microphone once you get there so you're not breathing in people's ears. And then in the Pleb Topics text channel, you'll go ahead and post what it is that you want to talk about. You know, you think this team's going to win, you think this is a good format for dealing with VCS or whatever situation's going on there. If we like your topic, we'll pull you into the waiting room where you will hang out until it's your turn to come on. We'll do a quick audio check to make sure your microphone's working all right, and then we'll pull you into the on-air room to be talking with all three of us.
And of course, if you are a sub, thank you for being a sub. A bunch of people subbed before the start of the show, which I always appreciate. That does allow you to get access to the subtopics channel, which moves a little slower. Doesn't guarantee you on the show, but it does increase your chances a bit, I think, based off of the fact that, like, you know, we're looking at both, and one of them moves a little slower. So, either way, thank you. While Mark is pulling callers, Pr0lly, how you been? It's been a while.
Can I want to pick a caller.
If you want to scroll through here and someone jumps out at you, dude,
Great.
please.
Well, I was hoping to talk to Pr0lly while Mark picked people, but now they're both picking people. So, how you been?
I want to see how this is done, so I can judge Mark on his.
I'm bad, so you don't really need to. You can walk away with that, or you can enter this with that assumption that what I'm doing is bad.
Well, it's just more fun. Oh my! There's so many things. How can you read this?
It's fucking hard. This is the part that
I already give up on this job. As soon as it started scrolling, I was like, I can't read this fast.
Imagine you go into like the post-game reaction thread of like a match, and it's just flying up at you. You know, if it was like live updated, you're just like, I don't. Ugh.
So the new problem, Pr0lly, is that we also have callers who we used to pick too much. And so we started trying to get new people, but the old people now change their Discord name and try to like trick their way into the show. Yes.
Do they also change their profile picture? Because that would be key.
Yeah.
Oh, I like these people.
And people sometimes change their take too. Like I'm a little slow because it's flying up, and so like someone will like put their take in, and 5 minutes later change their take, and then
They'll
I've already
edit
told
it?
them. No, they'll just put a different one in.
Oh,
Like
okay.
further down. So I'm scrolling down. I pull them for one take, then I see them post.
So then they come on the show and they're like, "Hey, I don't know if you pulled me because I wanted to talk about MVP or because I said that TSM was the greatest team of all time and no other team will ever stand in their existence, and Bjergsen is better than Faker."
It's like probably not the second one, dude.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I finally get to just bitch about picking people.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize.
Pr0lly.
I thought it was only like a few would be getting sent at a time, and you could like filter them. But this is like an obnoxious amount of
the
messages.
subtopics one moves a little slower if you want to.
I always start in subtopics because it's a little easier to parse.
Oh, is there another?
Yeah, so there's subtopics.
Yeah, in case you thought one was annoying, there's 2 text channels I have to scan.
I mean, don't you guys set this kind of system up, and it's kind of your fault for the way it is?
There was a slow. Can we put a slow mode on Discord? Actually, I've never.
I think there is a slow mode on Discord.
Okay, well, Alir, who is our Discord admin, can figure this out. Maybe we should be having this discussion.
Alir, like from
during
Name
the
of the
show.
Wind?
No,
we're
not,
optimizing
kind of.
on the show. Optimizing.
I'm gonna get the first caller anyway, since it's a good topic, and then we can go on.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you to our subs, Anti-TP, Rossol, Srayo, Croissant, LOL, Suzuya, Simster33, Liton, Nutella is Life, Poking Awesome, Quiet Pirate, Omega Diamond Zinc, Count 001, Pop Sufich. Wow, a lot of people subbed. Christabel for 33 months. How's it going, Julie? Jules Super HD, Kiwi Mullet Boy, Red Rain, Final Fantasy 14 gift sub, Crazy Connect. Oh my god, so many people. Slim Willie. John is here. John, where are you calling from?
Calling from Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky. Well, what do you want to talk about on the show?
So I'd like to talk about how we finally are able to send our top 3 teams to Worlds, and that I'm actually really glad that C9 wasn't able to make it, in the sense that the new playoff format is working as it should.
Is there a time where we didn't send our top 3? Like, sorry, is there a time where, because like, did we not send our top 3 last year?
Did.
Last year was championship points.
I'm saying who qualified in through championship points.
TL and then C9 as well, because TL won both splits and C9 had the.
Yeah, I know about Hunter T the previous year, guys. I'm trying to say like the caller positioned it as if he said we finally are able to do this, but I think last year we were able to do this as well, right? Like no one was arguing that our second seed was a 100T situation, right?
Yeah, but I feel like we're able to finally see, like, in these best of 5s, in this year, like we're really seeing these teams grind it out, and I feel really confident about these 3 teams. I think they look a lot stronger. I know Clutch went through the gauntlet last year, but at the same time, I think these 3 teams look a lot stronger. Like I feel like later in the show we're going to talk about how there's not really a clear winner for finals, just because all 3 teams seem to be pretty close in skill.
Yeah, I don't know if that means they're all good, is my concern. But maybe we talk about that later on in the show. So, okay, but you appreciate this. You don't think C9 should have made it. Did you happen to see the interview that I did with Doublelift today?
I did.
So what do you think of his opinion that, like, C9 kind of deserved it based off of their consistency over the year? Or, because it seems like he was an advocate of C9 going.
Yeah, I appreciate what he said, and I'm sure it makes some C9 fans feel a little bit better. But at the same time, I think there's a difference between like deserving to go and being good enough to go. It seems unfair that they're not able to go, but at the same time, when it mattered, they weren't able to win these best of 5s. They lost 2 best of 5s in playoffs, and no matter how good they looked throughout the year, they weren't able to prove it, and therefore. I don't feel confident sending them to Worlds. They seem like our 4th or 5th best team right now. So I think they would have been a disappointment if we would have sent them.
By the way, LS is in chat, and I'm just so confused. If I was LS and I did all the stuff that he does, all that work, the last thing I would do is go watch another League of Legends talk show in my free time.
Especially one as low quality as this.
Yeah.
Like there has to be more productive
yes.
if you want to be productive, or more entertaining. Like there's no way were fulfilling either of those categories
Right,
well
exactly.
enough to be
Man,
worth
you guys are really making sure I feel good about my decision to come on. Like, I'm really glad I said yes to this now.
I mean, you didn't say yes. You said I will. You told Mark you would only do it if I bought you in and out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Wait, do
I
you have a
think-
deal with LS? Do you buy LS in and out to show up in our Twitch chat?
Yes,
Travis
exactly.
does all these shadow deals, like Niski
Yes.
comes on.
Unfortunately, they don't have in and out where he lives, so I owe him a lot.
What is
of
that?
in
What is
and
that
out
Korean
whenever he-
fried chicken place? Bonchon? No, is it Bonchon?
Whatever. Anyway, maybe we get back to the caller's point, which is that you're happy that the format is the way that it is.
Yeah, and to kind of bank off that too, like, you know, I saw that you or I saw on Twitter about how, you know, if we kept the same playoff format this year, the huge issue is that C9 would have been a really good position to make Worlds this year. They'll probably be able to auto qualify. And on the opposite end, Team Liquid, since they got 9th, you know, last split, you know, it would have been extremely difficult, or maybe not extremely difficult, but it would have been a lot harder for them to be able to actually make Worlds, even though they truly do look like a top 3 team in NA. They would have probably had to go to the gauntlet, and who knows if they would have been able to win that or not, you know, based off, you know, this past weekend, them basically getting stomped in their best of 5.
Mark, do we know if C9 would have made it? Because I've seen a lot of conflicting stuff.
They would have almost.
Okay,
positive.
because some people say that
First
it would
and
only
fourth
happen
would-
if Flyquest wins finals. Was one take that, or was one assessment that I saw people say.
No, I think
So-
if Flyquest finished second, they probably would have taken the points over C9 because the summer points were weighted more. So if they got second for 2 splits, Flyquest would have gone as our second seed, and whoever won summer would go as first seed. So if Flyquest got first seed by winning the finals, then I think C9 would have gone by auto qualification.
Okay.
He said, so this is a tweet that somebody said to me that said, based off of last year's format, C9 would have ended up with 130 points because it would have been 90 plus 40. So for them to end up second seed, the summer split would have to end with Flyquest in first place, auto-qualifying, TL in second, giving them 90 points, and TSM in third, giving them 40 plus 70. And so the implication, I guess, in this assessment is that if you had not that exact order, that perhaps like Flyquest, for instance, would have had more points or something like that. So
I mean, it's also just really fucking whack because the whole tournament's structured differently. Like TSM wouldn't even be playing. C9 would have beat EG in the 3rd, 4th place match and would have got 3rd technically.
yeah. All right. Whatever. Anyway, there's a chance. Let's just pose it as there's a chance C9 would have gone. Obviously, like a much higher chance than there is right now.
Yeah, and I honestly really appreciated Double's honesty because he really doubled down in his stance of spring split. It doesn't matter. Obviously, he apologizes for the meaning that the community takes on it, but he really is saying your placing in spring split truly doesn't matter, for your world's chances. And I think that's a great thing because it really incentivizes teams like Team Liquid to switch things up and to, have a really great showing in the summer. They're not at a disadvantage for not having, whatever issues they had in the spring. So I actually really, really like the fact that, Peter really did double down on his stance with that.
I mean, so I think I think Doubleth has 2 things going for his point. There's like the overall broader point about spring should matter, but then also why he felt like spring didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think for a player like Peter, and from his position, it's easy to see why spring didn't matter. You're a 4-time reigning world or regional champion who just bombed out of Worlds. He said as much. It was a tumultuous Worlds. They were 1 game away from advancing. The only thing that's on his fucking mind at that point is Worlds. Getting back to Worlds. Fuck region. Like I'm the best. I know I'm the best in my region. I want to get back to Worlds. So like for him, anything that's not progressing that objective feels like a waste of time. And I
think you're gonna get flamed really hard for that take, Mark. But yeah,
what?
I just think a lot of people are gonna say, "Well, that's a terrible attitude to have. You should always be about winning, and well, you get paid so much money."
I'm not defending it, saying it's the right mentality. I'm just saying it's an understandable one. You can be sympathetic to something while being like, I disagree with it. Like, I understand someone who has literally won 4 times in a row and has not really had like 1 spark of international success to be like, yeah, I care about international. Get me there. And for things that don't lead to it, it feels like a waste of time a little bit. But for everyone else in the league, I still think they gave a fuck about spring split. Your career is on the line, you know, your reputation, social media engagement, sponsorships for organizations. They didn't know MSI was going to get fucking canceled, so you still had an international tournament to go to, you know, for everyone else when this change was made. Like, yeah, Worlds wasn't there, and Doublelift, I think, has a higher vested interest in Worlds than anyone else in North America probably does, for understandable reasons. But like, for everyone else, like for C9 to win their first title in 6 years or whatever since 2014, I think that this probably mattered to them. You know, like to say spring split didn't matter in the context of Worlds, I think makes sense. But to say the entire split didn't matter because of that, because MSI got canceled and C9 then
it has meaning. It just didn't have the meaning that Peter wanted to have.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I don't agree with Doublelift. I see where his line of logic is, and I can understand it. But for everyone else in the league, that's probably not a problem that they feel for the most part. I think everyone wants it to matter for Worlds in that sense. But as a viewer, I want to send my best teams, to the caller's point. If you're going to lose 2 best of 5s, and you could have even lost to Golden Guardians because you don't play the fucking meta at all, like, I don't want to send you. Sorry that, you know, spring didn't matter and MSI got canceled. That's shit luck, but
I mean, I think Peter's just in a unique position.
Right.
He's a very like outspoken person, and he's just never had any luck at Worlds, but he's just been dominating the region on TL for the last 2 years.
He had won 13 straight best of 5s. Do you think he wants to go fight some more fucking regional best of 5s? No, he wants to get back to Worlds.
So for him saying it doesn't matter, like, I mean, I kind of get it. I definitely don't think it's a real thing. But I definitely understand his position. And yeah, if I had to like coach him, that'd be a difficult talk. So I'm like, I feel you, but I don't want you to think that way.
You can't say this publicly.
Yeah, you can't. Don't say this. Don't really think this. And like, believe it with your heart. Like, you can have it in the back of your mind. You know, bring it up when it's appropriate, but you got to play these games a lot more seriously.
Okay, so
spring does have a purpose holistically.
So we've gone a little bit off the call topic. To narrow it in, it is about this format is good. So Pr0lly, you're an interesting person to have on the show because your team went to Worlds based off of the previous format.
We hate you.
And
I didn't make that format. What am I supposed to do? Can I decline the invitation and be like, actually, I disagree. Our performance is bad.
I'm not claiming that you. I'm not saying you're like a criminal that stole a world spot. Like, I'm curious. You know, you're in an interesting situation, right? Where I'm curious if you think this new format is better, despite the fact that in the past it would have sent you to Worlds.
Yep, and I think even 1 year or maybe both years in H2K it was by points as well. And yeah, having to go to Worlds that way feels awful. All the times when I'm with all the time that it happened, I'm with the team, and like there's no energy from anyone because we just lost, but we're told we're going, and now we're watching a team in the finals play, and then we're still going to finals or to Worlds. So it never felt like great to ever qualify that way. So I'm fine that it's gone. And then I do think the fact that you might have like a bomb spring split, but then you just suck. You could make roster changes. You could just not play with the meta. You could just, I don't know, bench all your players for fun. You do a lot of things to destroy a team in summer, and then you would still go from points. I think that's just like not a correct system. I think this system is the best they can do for 2 splits. I think 2 splits does not work for League of Legends, for Worlds being like everyone's real goal. So I think this is the best result we can get is we go into playoffs with double elimination, where spring is just kind of a title, and MSI you get the international experience, which does boost kind of like your confidence and play for Worlds. But I guess the only criticism I do have for the playoff format is I don't know if I love the 8-team playoff format. Maybe that's my only.
It gives you double elimination, and I think you have to. Don't you have to have 8 teams to do double elimination in a meaningful way? Or am I crazy? I thought that was why they extended.
I think you could seed it. I think slightly differently with 6 teams.
I mean,
where you have to play the opposite side of the bracket in the loser side.
I mean, you can just do it like how the original playoff format was, where 1 and 2 are preceded, 4 and 6. excuse me, are like in the first round, and then the 2 losers play, and you basically have a gauntlet that keeps getting seeded from the winners bracket.
So I guess we could do it like LEC does it, which they have 6 teams, so that would be acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. There's ways to do it. I agree. The 8 teams, like, did I think Dig had a chance? No. Like, I think it's just because that's how many teams technically get a chance in the gauntlet. It would be 2, 3 through 8.
I didn't think about it
Because
that way.
if you send one team through auto qualifying through winning summer, one team auto qualifying through spring or through championship points, and then 6 teams in a gauntlet, you're going in terms of strength that far down, and it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a good point.
But I mean, I do think this format does a much better job of sending the most powerful teams at the time to Worlds, which is pretty much the most important because I think we're still going to get a patch for Worlds, but I think they usually don't make any like crazy changes, except for maybe buffing Corki
And Rise normally, right?
and Rise, yeah, Rise and Corki.
The world's main
Ezreal.
Ezreal.
Love right now. Yeah.
All right, John. Sounds like we're in agreement with you that the change was good, even if it created an unfortunate set of circumstances for C9.
Yeah, I mean, C9's an anomaly, though, right? Like, I wasn't here for Immortals, so I don't know if this is a parallel from the Immortals season.
Nothing has ever happened like this. Like, this is...
So this is the first time for everyone, then.
Yeah. I mean, Immortals was... Yeah, but this is pretty bonkers, for sure. I mean, because we've never had a team that was this dominant, right?
Yeah, I mean, Immortals lost in semifinals,
in spring?
Yeah, in spring. It wasn't like they won, continued dominating, and then fell off.
Yeah.
They just dominated regular seasons only.
Either way, John, thanks so much for the call. Any thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, nothing much. I definitely agreed with everything you guys were saying. I've been a long time listener, first time caller, so thanks for having me on the show. And I just want to give a shout out to my wife. She's asleep right now, but want to give a quick shout out to her. So thank you guys so much for having
later?
me.
Like, will she listen to the VOD or the audio thing, or are you shouting her out and she'll never hear this?
I think I told her that I had been trying to get on for a few weeks, and she said that she wanted to hear me if I got on. So she'll probably get to hear it.
Does she normally listen to the show?
No, she knows who Double Lift is and Bjergsen. That's about it. I give her props.
That's all you need.
All right.
Yeah, I give her props.
I'm hoping after this she knows who the rest of us are, but I don't have high hopes.
She hears me listening to your interviews and stuff. I don't know. We'll see how she reacts.
I don't know. Okay.
Wait, people listen to your interviews?
Let's move on to the next.
Double Lift, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, people will listen. They'll mute half the video and then wait for Double Lift's response and unmute it.
I mean, did you see the TikTok I released this week? It was I'm not the main character. Travis Gafford on TikTok. If anybody wants to go see it.
I guess I'll have to check that out, Travis.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad. I think
it's not bad. It's a good one.
I mean, I'm digging myself, on the I'm dunking on myself in the TikTok. So I think you would appreciate it. Do you look at TikTok, Pr0lly?
I do not.
You got to look at it now before it gets banned. Tempo Thomas is here. Tempo, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Adelaide, South Australia.
South Australia. I love it when we get Australians in. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my topic is that Flyquest will perform well at Worlds and TL and TSM won't.
Somebody in Twitch chat says, why do all the callers sound the same? As our very heavily accented Australian comes here. Sorry, your take is one more time.
Flyquest will perform well at Worlds and TL and TSM won't.
Okay.
And C9.
Your take one more time because I can't hear it. It's just very confusing to me. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense.
Why are you doing this, Travis?
Is this a bit, Travis?
Yeah, I don't get it.
It's a bit.
Yeah. Don't harass this poor guy.
So first off, I don't know if any of the NA teams are going to do well at Worlds. I'm feeling pretty negative. I try to be very optimistic, and I probably will bounce back into optimism soon. But that's like one of my bigger concerns with this take. It's not even like Flyquest over the other two. I'm pretty concerned for NA right now.
Well, I think, if you look at the eye test, watching the teams, I think Flyquest look very solid as an identity, and I think their style of, Ignar on roaming supports and PoE on heavy resource mid laners and Santorin facilitating that. They just look really solid, and I think Solo has also done a really good job. He doesn't really take any resources, and he always goes like even or performs really well. And yeah, Total's been looking really good. So I think just on paper and from what we've seen so far, I think they look really solid. And I think the way they play fits the meta very well. I think they're a lot more proactive now, and I think proactive teams that have an identity will do well at Worlds. And yeah, TSM's identity isn't very solid, and TL's very stale in the early game. So
I mean, Mark,
yeah.
I have heard people claim that TL and FLY are essentially the same type of team, and that I guess this week can just prove that Flyquest did most of what TL does, but better. I'm kind of curious if that is your assessment as well.
I would say like surface level, yes, but they're I think they are better in a number of ways. I think their champ pools are better, and I think their, like the caller said, proactivity is a lot better. And
yeah,
like Core JJ, or excuse me, Santorin is a lot better of a jungler, and like I think one of the things that happens at Worlds a lot of the time is like teams are really aggressive in the early game, and if you're not able to keep up, you can get absolutely slammed. And I think that would be a concern right now for TL.
Probably, what do you think of all this?
Yep. I think I agree. I agree with Travis in terms of I'm kind of scared about NA's performance at Worlds. But I think I'd be comfortable saying I think Flyquest will do the best out of them right now. I do think they're pretty consistent, and I think they're much faster at picking up the meta. And I think those are probably the most important things when going into Worlds. TL is very strict, I think, and kind of stubborn with their champion pools and the way they play. I think it took them, I don't know, like 5 weeks before I could actually say like this is a good dragon stacking team, and this is pretty bizarre considering their playstyle was like pretty slow, and they always had a really strong mid lane and bot lane, which means wow, dragons look pretty free. So the fact that they weren't able to adapt to that quickly makes me worried for what they see at Worlds. TSM again, I think has been super inconsistent, all split. I do think they've been playing a lot better around Brokenblade. Maybe their issue was like they didn't know who to play around, so at least they made a choice. They have some kind of an identity we can see. But again, it's only been like a week of where I've been like, wow, TSM looks good. So I need a lot more proof of it, other than like they had one great day, maybe 2 great days. So I can't bet on them yet. So Flyquest does seem like the safest bet by a large margin.
Yeah, I think the main thing with Flyquest is the synergy between their mid, jungle, and support is really solid. I think they have good base timings, and I think Santorin and Ignar play really well off each other, and they play really well off of the bot wave and mid wave, and they're, like I said, like they're very proactive now. Like you'll see Santorin and Ignar roam together and get leads for PoE, and whenever PoE's ahead, he seems to always do well, like when he's on comfort picks. So I think they have like a really good formula and identity. I think, yeah, like I said, TSM, they're a bit flippy, and I think the macro and how they play side lane is still not very good. Like in all those games versus Golden Guardians, TSM had leads early, and they threw all of them because they didn't know how to play side lane. They have bad fundamentals in mid game, and they're just, I don't know, they're just very flippy.
No, yeah, I think you're pretty spot on about like TSM's weakness. I mean, there's a few times on the desk with me and Mark, like backstage, where they're able to push the enemy team off Baron because they started it, and then they end up like backing off without dropping vision or something. So instead of like, oh, you did Baron and got caught, it's like you did Baron, got caught, but we both will reset. So now the map's in an even state when they're actually the ones who have like the aggressive position. So I definitely see them making these kind of mid game mistakes. I will say for TSM's sake, their mid game did get covered up in the C9 series because they're just fighting. And they're able to actually perform like these, 5 ranged team comps and team fights pretty well. So I'd give them a little bit of credit there, because I'm like, I think a lot of teams would just fall flat there, or they'd like choke, or they'd overextend, or they'd like try too hard to 1-3-1 because they couldn't like team fight properly. So maybe TSM's mid game is just going to be we group and fight, which is like not the most like intricate, but it definitely has a point to work.
And if you get good enough at it, like that's kind of LPL-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Twitch chat was saying earlier. Is that
if you can just fight
TSM is
well, that's okay.
the closest we have to an LPL team.
In terms of champ pool, I'd agree. I'm not sure in some of the other way.
Flyquest is closer, actually.
C9 are quite aggressive, like LPL teams as well. Like they tend to skirmish a lot. But yeah.
Well, we don't
C9
know.
I'm just
going
confused
to
about now.
Yeah, that's weird. I'd also like to say that I think Team Liquid have a lot of problems with synergy. Like I don't see Core JJ work at all with Broxer. Like they never roam together, or they're never getting vision together after a wave or anything. And I think the Broxer just kind of looks like a headless chicken because he's not working with anything in the team. They're not like in early game, they don't really have any plans or any win conditions. They're kind of just reacting to what the enemy team does. I think that's why they're probably going to lose to TSM.
Well, I don't want to dive too much into the TSM stuff because I'm sure we have callers coming up soon. But it does sound as though the panel here is more confident in Flyquest, especially after this weekend. So they in agreement with you, Tempo.
Yeah.
Results-based analysis.
Is there anything you want to shout out, Tempo, before we go on to the next caller?
No, that's it. I just like to say I really enjoy your content, and thanks to Alienware for making this happen.
Thank you so much for the call. Have a good one. Enjoy the show. And by the way, thanks for calling in from Australia. What time is it there?
It is 1:30 where I am.
Yeah, I love that we're just always in the afternoon for Australia. We get some great callers from there. So thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break really quickly to shout out, speaking of Alienware, our sponsor, Alienware. So this is a pretty big week because they're participating, and they have been, you've probably heard me talk about it, in Intel Gamer Days. Now, if you go to alienware.com/Travis, at the top, there's a banner that says you can win a battle station. I've been talking about that for a while, but you can enter the contest if you haven't yet. Scroll down to the bottom of my page. Guess what? 17% off Intel Alienware systems right now. So that's above the normal code that we are able to do under normal circumstances. You can go save 17% on Alienware PCs powered by Intel right now. I need to figure out, I'm trying to remember, what is the deadline for this, because I know it goes for quite a few more days. But if you haven't done that yet, go take a look at their deals. It's a fantastic time to be purchasing these and taking a look at them, seeing, especially if you're looking in there. Actually, through September 6th, so for about a week, we have this going on, I think, until next Sunday. So through this week, so if you're listening to the show later on, you can go still check out alienware.com/Travis and scroll down to the bottom there for that link over to get 17% off of Intel-powered Alienware systems. We thank Alienware so much for their support of the show and everything that we create here at Travis Gafford Industries. Mark, you want to go?
Including the Reddit threads that we get, because C9 may be auto-qualified to Worlds per Travis Gafford.
Oh, no. Did you do this?
I didn't do this.
What is it? Is it quoting your tweet?
No, it's quoting a thing, a clip. I don't know. I'm too lazy to watch it right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna get the next caller, but it's pretty funny.
I really hope that people in the chat say that it was speculation based off of how it would work.
No, it's reported. No, I don't. Let me see.
This is one of the few times where I actually think it would make sense for a Reddit mod to go remove something like this, because
I mean, we're clearly laughing at it, I think, a little bit. I don't know.
Okay. Well, yes, but
laughing with joy because C9's actually going.
Here's the problem. It's Reddit, so everyone will just look at the headline and say C9 may be auto-qualified to Worlds per Travis Gafford, and think that, like, without any of the other context of the conversation we had.
Well, reading's boring. I guess more than one sentence, not worth it.
Reddit mods, this is your chance. You can finally prove your value. All right.
Ooh, that's not how to get them on your side.
I mean, we haven't. It hasn't felt like we've been on the same side for quite some time.
Oh, okay. Thanks
for the qualification, Travis, as the Cloud9 Twitch account. You're welcome.
You're the commissioner now, Travis? Yeah. Why didn't you tell us?
Tabonski is here. Tabonski, where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Texas.
Calling from Texas. Whereabouts in Texas?
I live in kind of the Denton area, which is a little bit near Flower Mound. So, funnily enough, I'm not going to take too long in this, but I'm really sad because I just moved here last year, and I was going to go to
Spring finals.
the finals last split.
Sorry, I'm sorry. That sucks. There's so much cool shit that was supposed to happen this year, and unfortunately,
it happens. It's unlucky.
Well, either way, what do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take is that the upcoming series TSM against Team Liquid is going to be 3-0 in the favor of TSM. And the finals where TSM goes off against Flyquest is going to be really close. Go to all 5 games, and it'll be 3-2 either side. Obviously, I don't really know which side it would go. I'm a TSM fan, so heart kind of leans towards TSM, but I'm not sure. Mark wanted me to stick towards the first point, which is about TL TSM. So I'll give my justification on that. So I think Team Liquid right now is looking, I wouldn't say lost necessarily, but I don't think that they're playing with Broxa as well as TSM are playing with Speaker right now. And I think that in the recent series, I think what we're seeing is that TSM is playing very strong on near the top side of their map. And I think that Brokenblade actually has a lot of picks that he hasn't even shown yet they can probably utilize for like counter picks and stuff. And I don't know. In general, I just think TL are kind of on the decline. TSM is just increasing the pace at a pretty fast rate and becoming just a much better team. Like, I think when they started in playoffs, they were really, really bad. But they're noticeably have increased in their performance and quite a huge variance, in my opinion. And TL really haven't had that chance because they had the one series, and TSM has played what I think. Let me think. They played 5. They've played 11 games at this point, so they've had a lot of experience to just kind of fix those minute issues. And I think going into the TL series, they're going to have a lot planned.
Mark, as I'm replying to this Reddit thread, do you want to help lead the charge on this conversation about TSM smashing TL?
I'll lead the charge by deferring to Pr0lly. Pr0lly, what do you think is going to happen TL versus TSM?
I feel like it would be crazy for it to be a smash because
we've been kind of negative on TL, so I don't want to go blow it out of proportion because they lost the best of 5. I do think they're kind of in a rough spot because they weren't getting beaten in the regular season, even though they had issues. So now when they're actually having some synergy problems being exposed because teams are playing more aggressively, more cohesively, like Flyquest was, they have less time to kind of fix their issues. But TSM also has just recently shown some life, and they've shown this kind of topside play before and been really dominant with it. And then the next week they just completely drop it and they fumble and we're like, never mind, TSM sucks. So this very well could be that kind of situation for TSM again. They've done that already. And I do think TL is going to be in a decent spot versus TSM. So I don't think it'll be a smash either way. I do think it's interesting because both teams have very different styles. But the bad part for TSM is Impact is I don't know, such a good punching bag. He's so used to it. He's all the bruises on his body have calloused up, and now it's he's got a sheet of armor on. So I do think it's going to be a little bit harder to kind of punish that. I think it's going to be the Spica Broxa. How they get themselves involved with their team is going to be the break point. And I will say Spica has been looking better and better each week. So I think that would be the what's the linchpin? The
X Factor?
X Factor. There's another word in there that I don't know, but I think he'll be the most important factor for that. If they do end up turning out
secret sauce. The key matchup. I don't know. I know what you're saying. I kind of agree. I think it's so weird in this year with C9 supposed to be good. They fall off a cliff. TL kind of takes their place, but we're not super convinced by them. TSM was getting really hot at the end of the regular season. They were actually doing pretty well. And I think they went 0-2 that, or maybe 1-1 that week because they lost to
week
TL.
9?
Yeah, week 9. I think it was 1-1. They beat Golden Guardians, then lost to TL, but then they lost to Golden Guardians in the first round of playoffs. Looked really sketchy. Had a really tough series versus Golden Guardians again in the lower bracket. Barely beat them, and then they beat C9. But we don't really think C9's that good anymore, right?
So actually, this is why. So I predicted TSM last week over C9, and that also followed my prediction of EG beating C9, and it was because I did not have very much faith in C9. I felt like they kept losing, and then everybody kept expecting them to win because it's like, okay, but this team is like, yeah, this team is really good.
Absolutely.
Like they're gonna start to win, and so then I predicted them to lose against EG. I just kind of felt like EG was not actually very good, and so then whenever C9 lost, or sorry, C9 beat EG, I was like, I don't know if that's as impressive as TSM beating Golden Guardian. So that's why I was pretty confident in TSM beating.
Yeah, I mean,
C9
EG also took Fly to 5 right at the beginning of playoffs, where I think Fly was still kind of finding their footing a little bit in the meta.
Fly was really terrible in that series.
Yeah, so like I don't want to read too far into that. I think just like we kept hearing rumors like C9's still crushing scrims, and so you're like, oh, they'll turn it around at some point, you know?
Is that what we heard? I felt like they were memeing about scrims going well, which is usually their universal way of saying that they're not going well.
I didn't get this from a tweet. I got it from someone else telling me this.
Okay.
So like, I was under the impression that like, okay, once they lost with this Ezra Yumi crap, and then they stabilize versus EG, heading into this next week, they'll figure out their bot lane. They'll play Kate. There's no reason you can't play. It's not like a complicated champion. She's not even weird in a team comp sense. You know, this isn't like learning Senna where you need to find damage in other lanes potentially and other stuff. Like it's just fucking Caitlyn. Like I don't understand how people can't play Caitlyn. It's just fucking
very standard AD carry,
and she's been around forever. Everyone plays Caitlyn.
Even like Aphelios is more like weird of an AD carry than Caitlyn.
Right. Yeah.
And everyone had to play Aphelios.
Yeah, and like you're supposed to play around Caitlyn in the early game, so I guess it warps your playstyle a little bit to be bot centric more, but like that's not that crazy.
I mean, a lot of teams are comfortable being like, all right, we'll play for first 2 Drakes and then scale for third or see what the play looks like. So going like, oh, we have Caitlyn, let's focus bot side and Drakes. I definitely don't think is a huge wrench for any teams, except for maybe like TSM, because their most successful style has been like literally just screw Drakes.
But even they'll play Caitlyn.
But yeah, they'll play Caitlyn.
So
I think that they like after the Golden Guardian series, I think they just kind of stylistically changed how they wanted to play on bot lane. I don't think that it's necessarily means that they're not going to play Caitlyn again. I think that they're just probably more comfortable with the matchups that they're doing right now and like
TSM
Pr0lly setting.
TSM did play Caitlyn, no?
They played Caitlyn in the Golden Guardian series, and I think from there on they only played Ashe Senna. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, C9 was banning Caitlyn though. So
C9 banned them on blue side too.
Yeah, so there's a potential.
Go ahead.
There's a potential TSM actually completely abandoned Kate, but once C9 in game 1 banned Kate on blue, I think TSM took like a calculated gamble and said like, we're not going to ban Kate because if you're banning it on blue, you're probably banning it on red, and so they never even had to kind of show their hand that we could play it or whatever the ban would have been.
Yeah, I think if it was up, they would have played it. So like, I'm not ready to say that TSM's not playing Kate. I think they are. And this is to the point that like you can play it with different play styles. I think I don't think you have to like just because C9 wants to be topside. Like I think TSM wants to be topside, and I think they'll still play Kate. So either way, I think looking at the TL series, like I don't think TL has a different play style than TSM, but I don't think it's this deficient thing where they can't play things that are good right now in the meta, like C9 wasn't able to. That's why I got into that kind of tangent about harping on C9's problems, because I'm still not like 100% super convinced by TSM. So like I think, Golden Guardians was a pretty good team. I thought their win there was pretty good. It was close. It was really, really close. Either team could have took that series, but they I think had more experience and played better in clutch situations. C9 just looks like they had problems. And so going against TL, who took Flyquest to 5 games still, is probably still the favorite for me. But I do like TSM's play style more. I like that Brokenblade will play carries. I like that they can maybe be both a blue side and a red side team, where they can use counterpick effectively. I don't think TL does anything with counterpick. I don't think they do.
No,
other than Core JJ.
It's Core JJ counterpick, and I think that's easily avoidable with a lot of Thresh picks in 1, 2, 3 kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's enough power picks in the bot lane that you can't get hard. Like if you want to take Kate Lux, like there you go. You're gonna pick Blitz into it? Okay, I get it. Now it's a little bit of a kill lane, but it's still hard for you.
But they're not gonna open up Caitlyn from red side again. I think they learned that the first time they played against Flyquest.
My gut has been right on the last 2 TSM games, so we're gonna go all in right now. I am getting C9 Gauntlet vibes from TSM. I feel like they're powering up in every one of these series, and so I actually think TSM will. It's funny. I always start these things and I immediately halfway through think about the Reddit or Twitch chat vibes where they're like fucking double lift fanboy, but I'm sticking with it. I think TSM will beat TL, and I think TSM will make it to finals and beat Flyquest, because I think that's just like the crazy shit that feels likely to happen.
Good man, Travis. Good man.
So I'm not saying that it's going to be a stomp. I don't think it's going to be a 3-0 like you, but I am not a TSM fanboy in the slightest, but
I think you are. I think you love getting denied interviews and stuff.
but I do get the vibes that that's what's gonna happen. So we'll see. I'm going all in. I got the intuition on the last 2, and so we'll see if it carries through this week.
I was so good at predictions in the regular season, then we got to best of 5s, and I've just been fucking it up all over the place. I don't know what my record is for predicting series in playoffs, but it's probably not much better than 500.
I will say that I am somewhat biased towards TSM right now because their subreddit is incredible to me. My interview got posted there today in the top. But yeah, the top comment in my interview thread on the TSM sub was, "Man, oh man, what a great interview! I'm so glad that I watched it without ad block. Watching without ad block is the best viewing experience. Also, liking the video, clicking the bell notification, subscribing to both this channel and the book channel really improved my life." It goes on. Anyway.
Your integrity stat is going way down.
Yeah, no, it's true. Listen, it's not Peter. It's not like interview access. It's when the subreddits. I'm so used to just being
shit on.
Yeah, just so many mean comments, and so when a single subreddit says nice things and supports me.
It's because that's what that was. That was the sympathy card. Your tweet this weekend when you were like, "What fans think criticism is, what criticism really is," or like how fans really whatever that tweet was.
Yeah.
Oh, I did like that tweet though. That was a good one.
Thank you. Ellis in the Twitch chat right now saying, "Hey, all TSM fans, I'm co-streaming this weekend." Literally, just that. Now we know what he was up to this chat. This is a marketing venture for him. He's like, if you guys don't like this shitty content, tune into my content. Anyway, sorry. What were we talking about? Okay, yeah. So my prediction is TSM.
Yeah.
You think TL?
I'm TL, right? But I'm very, I'm not like hard believing in anyone. Right? I think Flyquest is really good. I still want to believe in them. But if TSM comes out and like slaps the shit out of TSM using like aggressive tops and stuff, I'll
TSM.
Yeah.
Hey, so you think if TSM beats TL, you think they'll beat Flyquest?
I think so, because TL and Flyquest are playing similar-ish champions, and neither is willing to play tanks in the top lane. So if TSM can beat TL in a very convincing manner, I'll feel good about them in the finals. But I'm still assuming that TL is going to win.
I mean, I don't know. I'm down to entertain the TSM versus TL, like winning, because TL. Yeah, it just has been very, very slow and kind of predictable and methodical. And then Broxah really didn't show up in their last series against Flyquest at all, and I think Speak is kind of coming into his own.
Yeah.
So I'm down to entertain that, but TSM beating Flyquest, like, I don't see how TSM can respond well to Ignar. TSM's bot lane has not been playing well for a long time. Their roster swaps, I think, set them in the right path, and I think they're improving. But I don't think they're going to be like kind of ready to deal with this kind of style that Ignar has. And then, while Spica has been improving, I don't know, dude. Santorin is kind of on another level jungler. The way that we saw like Blabber in Spring, where like no one else can be doing this right now, that's like Santorin's getting a bit closer to that kind of realm where it's like everyone below him is pretty far below Santorin. So I'm pretty worried if they play those range tops. I feel like I see a like level 2 first blood on Brokenblade at like 2 minutes and 30 seconds every game.
Yeah, I don't think Lucian top is the pick against Flyquest. I think it worked in the C9 series because they tried to go for like they explained I think in the interview, at least Bjergsen did, that they tried to go for some of these like ranged characters to try to just kite as much in team fights, and they're kiting. Like I think one of the casters pointed out, it was just like really good in a lot of their team fights, and it seemed like they practiced a lot of these ranged heroes specifically for some of those comps.
Yeah, I think. I mean, but he has Jax. I'm sure he'd be willing to play Camille or maybe Fiora.
Yeah.
He has, and even like Vlad is ranged, but it's not like kitey range. It's dive range. Like I think, Brokenblade's champ pool is pretty strong right now, and Spica has some interesting stuff. But
yeah, I wanted to clarify on one point because obviously the take is fairly spicy because TL was fairly good for most of the split, and even though they lost like a really close series to Flyquest, I think TSM just stylistically, I think they're going to match up really well for them because TL is going to tend towards the scaling comps, and I think TSM is going to get a lot of early game aggression and shut down a lot of that before they're able to take any significant gain off of any of their comps. So that's just mainly where the basis of my prediction is. Yeah. Not that it's going to be like a smash, like every single lane's just going to win outright. More that the way they stylistically match up is going to be way more TSM favored in my opinion.
Well, it's going to be like TSM's either going to win or they're going to beat themselves against TL.
Sabonsky, unfortunately, your mic is starting to get a little wild. So why don't we have you shout out, say anything you want to say, and then we'll move on to the next caller.
Oh, for sure. Oh yeah, and yeah, shout out to Logitech for this fabulous Pro X where the mic never works. Shout out to Alienware.
Alienware, yeah.
We gotta get the shout out to Alienware. Shout out to Travis for hosting this show. I really wish I could have seen you guys in April, but you know sometimes dreams don't come true. Come to Texas again though. We'll definitely have some bangers. There's some great barbecue down here. Please come back.
Yeah, well,
yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, hope to make it. I was really looking forward to it. So sorry we couldn't, but thank you so much for the call.
Thank you.
All right, on to the next caller. Shout out to where was I? Oh my God, so many people subbing tonight. Very generous. Thank you, everyone.
Take them back. Take the subs back quick.
iMonkey, the Adultish Gambino, the Secret Perk, Canadian Chaos 22, 1997, Elmo B. Pimpin, CG Gladiator, Rogelio, Pedropolo, Warscript, Avitum, T. Kale gifted a sub to Brian Kibler, B. Muscles, Dark Alley, Genuine Walrus, and Whistle Britches for 1 whole year. Still waiting on Mark. The 396, Mayday Squid, Sexy Edges, Slick, Ropsis 14, Fish Sticks 44 for 16 months. The Volk and Rinda. Orochi, is that how you say it? Orochi?
Yes, Orochi.
Orochi, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Chicago, Illinois.
Have you been on the show before?
No.
Okay. It sounded familiar. Either way, thanks for being a sub. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about the fact that I think that if TL loses to TSM next week, that's the only way they can perform well at Worlds.
So TL, in order to perform well at Worlds, must lose against TSM this weekend.
Yes.
After they get 3-0'd, like the other caller said, it will be the inspiration for their anime training arc as they run through the... Because the other thing that he's saying implicitly with this is by losing the TSM, they get the 3rd seed out of NA. And then they'll have to play in Gauntlet, and we know Gauntlet is a buff.
What? You mean plans?
Play-ins, excuse me. Gauntlet plans. This is the same thing. Same idea.
Yeah.
Tomato,
well,
potato,
when C9
dude,
enters play-ins, it's going to be crazy. No. Okay, so do you think that... So do you predict that TSM will beat TL this weekend, Orochi?
Well, I'm a TL fan, so I would want TL to beat TSM, of course. I hate TSM fans for the most part, and I wouldn't want them to, talk shit for the whole week. But I think that if we lose to TSM and we get 3rd seed, we go through play-ins, I think that would do way more for our development than just going straight into groups.
So shouldn't you want your team to lose then? I just feel like it's very short-sighted if you are a TL fan and you honestly think that their only chance of doing it well at Worlds is them losing to TSM, but then, like, in essence, by your own philosophy, you are rooting for TL to fail at Worlds.
Well, realistically, I think NA is going to get smashed at Worlds.
Okay,
and
okay.
I think that
So you think our one chance, like the Avengers thing, you've seen all these possibilities, and the one chance for NA to do well at Worlds is for TSM to beat TL.
basically, yes.
We have to let the snap happen. We have to let
Yeah.
Thanos get
Yeah,
one
just
off.
let it happen.
So just to be
in the
clear,
in-game
if
now.
you are Doctor Strange, like Doctor Strange does everything to make the one possibility happen, and again, you are rooting. You're like, nah, let's not have that happen.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
He's Team Thanos, I guess.
Whatever. Anyway, so setting your stat aside, is there any validity to this idea, Mark or Pr0lly? Because it is like, for instance, I think part of the reason TSM is doing well right now is because they lost to Golden Guardians. They had to go into that crazy best of 5 against them. They came out of it. It does feel as though these types of things can do a lot for a team. What are you laughing at, Mark?
Why is LS has Thanos emotes?
LS has Thanos emotes?
Yeah.
That's gotta be somebody get on the phone with Disney, okay? That's gotta be. Anyway, sorry. Mark, can you come back to us?
Yeah, sorry. I got distracted. I know what you're saying about, like, when you lose, your flaws get exposed. They already lost to Flyquest. And I don't think you want, like, you have the players to really emulate TSM's playstyle, even if you think it's good. Like, what are you gonna put impact on fucking Lucian? Like,
Get him.
what timeline is that in? So, like, I don't know what losing to TSM does that losing to Flyquest shouldn't have already done in some ways.
Also, why isn't sending TSM into play-ins give them a big buff that helps NA out?
Okay, so basically, I don't think it's losing to TSM. I think it's just going 3rd seed and going through play-ins more so.
Yeah, but we're gonna send a team to play-ins no matter what. So why is it TL versus?
You're saying like TL is the highest ceiling? Is that the argument?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think TL
Okay.
has the highest potential out of all 3 teams.
Okay. In order to achieve that, they have to. Why do we fall, Mark?
So we can rise a better man.
So
I don't know if I got the quote
that we
right.
can get out of groups with Team Liquid apparently.
Dalinar is Jay.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yes. Okay. Anyway. So this conversation's so stupid in every direction.
It's just awful references all over the place.
Okay, Pr0lly, you were a coach that went to Worlds. Did you think that it would? Remember, you're getting in and out. Okay, and I'll even get you.
Yeah, where is this in and out? I need this to power me. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Ask your question.
You're a
Travis.
coach. Do you think it would be good for TL? Do you think NA has a better chance if we send them into plans?
I mean, if the team is willing to learn and change. So that's kind of the thing I have against TL is, like, they haven't really adapted that much, and they haven't really shown anything other than, like, I don't know, we're gonna probably scale. Like, I think Jensen kind of evolved a bit in Core JJ, but I'd say, like, the team as a whole is very much the same as they've always been. So giving them extra, like, is it a week or 2 weeks of practice and play-ins?
I mean, they will, like,
play-ins,
everybody's going over there around the same time and doing the
Yeah.
quarantine practice stuff. But yeah,
But
you get
that
the
practice is
extra.
not real compared to, like,
You
Sure.
play
being
one
on
best of
stage.
5. You
Yeah.
can play one extra best of 5 in play-ins as a NA seed.
Okay, so with that, I don't know if that extra best of 5 is going to be, like, the thing that changes Team Liquid's style around where they can really learn that much more. So I'm not positive on that. I also don't know, why do you think TL has the highest ceiling? I thought that was pretty interesting.
I just think the players individually have demonstrated in the past and this split that they have the highest ceiling individually versus the other 2 teams.
Okay, so individually, their individual skill has a ceiling.
Yes, individual skill.
Okay. I could get behind that with Jensen and Core JJ. Impact
And
maybe.
I guess if you think like Broxa from 2018, 2019 Broxa was starting to slip a little bit. That he had some good. He still had some good games. I don't want to say it was bad or anything, but it.
So I mean, I'm down to entertain the idea. Like, yeah, they could be even better. Because I mean, I think like P0lly outperformed Jensen in their series, which was really surprising because I thought Jensen was like just kind of crushing all split. So to see him, take kind of the short end of the stick a lot, I was pretty surprised by. But I can see Jensen getting more out of this time and maybe developing a meta. But I really don't see TL being any different than they are now in like a month. Like I feel like I could probably draft for TL in a month and be 80% correct.
Yeah, I mean, like this series was really interesting because I like the rub we had on TL was like, oh, they don't ever learn new picks. Like when Volley Bear was broken, they didn't learn that, and when Wukong was broken, they didn't learn that, and then when there's one other that happened earlier in the meta that I forgot early in the year. But then, anyways, at this point, they picked up Hecarim because it got buffed. They were playing Zyra as a counter pick. They picked up the Kog'Maw. Like they were trying a lot of things in this series actually, which made me feel good. So like, in terms of the lesson that's there for them to learn, in terms of finding things that still fit your playstyle but is branched out, I think they've done that. And all that's left to do is get better at that. I don't know what losing to TSM's going to teach you that you shouldn't have already learned, because you're not going to play carries top, really. You're not going to play you're not really going to play all in dive comps. I mean, they kind of did. They tried to do that. I think it was game 1. I don't know. They are who they are.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah, maybe I spoke too generally about Team Liquid not learning, because, the Hecarim was definitely a cool thing to bring out. But really, I think, Impact and Jensen are going to be the same players.
Right.
Like, Jensen is not going to start just roaming everywhere. Like, he's going to stick to control mages, maybe pick up a few picks along the way. But holistically, their style in mid and top will stay the exact same. And I don't think any change from jungle or bot can actually warp the game enough, because the solo lanes just have too much impact on the game. So like if your top is like if Impact starts playing these Lucian Veins and they start Broxa and Impact start having like crazy synergy, they fight around top, like that's going to be something that blows my mind. And I'm probably going to love Team Liquid forever, because I would have never guessed they could do that. But I think they have a good formula, and I think they're going to follow it because that'll give them the best chance of success. So I think TSM maybe with the extra week could do better and follow little.
I mean, we've seen this before.
Series before.
We've seen this before. Double have spent this entire year making people think he couldn't play Senna just so that he could bust it out in this series and get out. And I wonder if TL's not doing the same thing. Jat is a mega mind, a big 5-head, who has just been making everybody think that they have a shallow pool.
Here comes the Wukong into Jace.
This is nothing against Jat. This is just the play styles of these players.
I think you're explicitly calling out Jat, probably.
I'm just a Jat hater now.
Yeah.
But this double Senna thing is a huge joke, because this Senna has gotten so much better. All right. Even the last time they played it and lost, it was good, but they just, they suck, so they lost. So yeah, when he pulled it out, I was definitely not surprised. When the Caitlyn was out of the pool, I'm like, just start playing Senna, guys. That's good.
Well, I can't believe that you fell for his trap. Even now, you still think that he couldn't play Senna this whole time. Just wait till you see his Vlad at Worlds, probably. All right, that's when then you're gonna collapse into a pool. You know what I'm saying?
So I totally agree. His Senna got better.
Nah,
fuck this.
But I was say the but.
Like we talked about how it is one of the ones that does change your team comps a little bit, and like Team Liquid's not a great Senna team. Like you put Broxa on Graves, it's not like that inspiring. Like Senna wants some carries from the jungle and top and some of these other positions, and they don't really have them other than Jensen. So like I can kind of see the argument that.
I mean, he pushed back pretty heavily on the idea that like his Senna situation was ever as bad as people made it out to be.
There was like 1 or 2 games when he played it. It sucked, and then it got better.
Okay, so I'm just gonna throw out criticism there. Like he was not using any of his abilities properly. Like when I saw Senna when it was first played, it was really frustrating to watch it, because people would make mistakes, get chunked, and then just walk up and Senna Qs them on cooldown. I remember a game, I think was it this summer or was it spring? But I remember a TSM game where it had to be this summer, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching it and I was getting so frustrated because Doublelift is sitting there with like 3 teammates half HP and he's not queuing on cooldown. And I was just sitting there like, it's a heal, man. Don't like wait for the opportune moment to get a huge Q. So that was when I was double lift hater, but I think as he played it more, I stopped seeing that mistake happen, and he's using like E and W to get catches and stuff like that. So
God, we've got Jat and double lift on Pr0lly's list. Who else is on this list? We gotta take a look.
The
at
Travis is on the good list.
Yeah.
I don't know if that exists.
Yeah, the good list is. Yeah, I think it's just a fabrication. It doesn't really exist.
There's no good list. Orochi, I don't even know where. Oh yeah, your take was we must follow the rise take.
Whoa.
I think we all disagreed. I think was the takeaway.
I honestly I don't disagree or agree. It's just such a wild take that I have no way to formulate a conversation or opinion on it either way. It's like really difficult. I guess my biggest issue with it is you think that it seems to be TL's the only one that could do this, but I think if you think that plans can be pretty big, and to Mark's point, it's not as much experience maybe as it seems. It is difficult to see that not helping other teams as well.
I can see that.
Either way, what do you got for us here at the end before we move on to the next caller?
Shout out to ALIENWARE, I guess.
Okay.
Dope.
First off,
thank you.
Thank you. But we can't do the I guess at the end, okay? It's just
I'm
you gotta
sorry.
come in.
I'm so sorry.
Can we get a rerun on that? Can you try again?
Shout outs to ALIENWARE. They have the best gaming computers.
Thank you. That's gonna help my renewal conversations. Either way, thanks so much for the call.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next caller. Yeah, that was Kobe Naked. He does, as quarantine's been going on, he's just been taking more and more clothes off. Thank you to the Squircel, Gambit Go, Rattles, Ion D, 4139, Robert Bruce, Mikhail, Baby Bladder, Biblo, Yasuke, thank you for the host, and Choconocho, thank you for the prime. Barbinator is here. Barb, where are you calling from?
Oconomowoc, Wisconsin.
Okay, wait, did you call in recently?
I called in last week.
Okay, I knew it. Memoria's paying attention.
Because it's the weird town name. That's what got me. I didn't remember his name, but
what do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah.
Essentially, I think Brokenblade is the best top laner in NA. And if it weren't for Bjergsen playing just absolutely out of his mind, he'd probably be in contention for playoff MVP.
Okay.
There's a lot to dig into there. He's the best top laner. He'd be the second best, like the second candidate for playoff MVP.
First off, is he playing out of his mind?
Brokenblade is playing in my opinion, Brokenblade is playing the best he's played since 2018, or was it 2019 spring?
2019.
Mm-hmm.
He's been around for 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree he's playing really well right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you have another question coming?
Top performance that he's been at, and he also seems to play better under pressure. He's always been better in playoffs. I mean, he showed that in his first finals when he almost won it for them.
Do you guys think that that's what's happening here? Is he popping off in playoffs? Playoffs buff?
I guess I don't remember. What is this best of 5 year referencing where he almost carried him to it?
I think he's talking about the TL finals in spring. I mean, he played a really mean Akali.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And like some of that stuff. If TL
in 2019 spring.
Yeah. If TSM had won that finals, I think there's a number of people who would have voted him as the series MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least like you would have had that kind of conversation. I think he's I don't know if he always gets playoffs buffs because he also has played a couple playoffs where they didn't do great. So I think maybe he's just a streaky player. Like when he's hot, he's hot. When he's slumping, he's slumping a little bit. Maybe he's a little meta dependent. Like he needs to find the champs that he's going to Hulk out on. Like in spring 2019, it was clearly like the Akali, Aurelia, and there's one other champion that was meta at that time that I'm blanking on. That was kind of a melee assassin. Aatrox, right? Maybe that was it. Akali, Aatrox, Aurelia. And now he's like finding a couple champs that are working for him again. Maybe that's it. I don't know exactly.
I think it was Vlad, actually, Mark.
You looking at Twitch chat?
What?
It wasn't Vlad. That's not.
Dude, Vlad was not being played during Aurelia. Akali, that sounds like death.
It got banned sometimes, and people played into GP. He does have a good Vlad. Anyways, my point is, he sometimes looks really, really good for whatever reason. Team, meta, individual performance spiking. You know, he seems to enter the conversation of one of the best top laners when he's playing well. I can agree with that.
Yeah, I think his highs are high. I think streaky is the best way to describe him. I don't know if it's like he's an emotional player, maybe. So when he has like,
you would almost think it'd be the opposite, right? Like emotional players, I think, would have a tougher time in these big moments, right?
No, not necessarily.
I mean,
it's
emotional in terms of like that's what controls his ability to focus. So if he's like in a great mood, good mood, feeling confident, he's going to do really well. But if he's like questioning himself, he's doomed.
Yeah, there's people who are steady, and then there's people who like ride high and ride real low.
Yeah,
okay.
Like ones are like,
that's
you
me
get
as
like
a person, I think.
Yes,
anyway,
but when you're at a high competitive level, you have to like suppress your person.
Yeah, it was
you don't want to be just a person competing.
It was just anyway.
Travis has never competed in his life. He doesn't get it.
That's not true at all. I competed in Twitch Rivals last year at TwitchCon, and I was nominated for a Gaffy for my performance in that tournament. So don't even.
You nominated yourself?
There's a panel. Anyway, so getting back to this.
All right.
Okay, so do you guys think that Brokenblade is, as of right now, number 2 behind Bjergsen for playoff MVP?
Is Bjergsen first for playoff MVP? I don't agree with that.
Who would you put?
Santorin.
Oh, okay.
Barb, what do you think of that? Because now you're.
I think it's between those three for sure. Santorin is the only other person that has been performing at a higher level than.
Didn't Santorin throw their 4th game?
No. Did he?
Santorin throws? Wait.
There was the base defense. There's the...
Oh no, I think you're thinking of Power of Evil.
Power of Evil.
Power of Evil had a couple of inty moments on Azir in their last series.
I think he threw.
And he was playing the Ori in the game 4
of one. No.
Are you just copying what Twitch chat was saying?
No, I'm not. Okay. This time I'm not copying what Twitch chat is saying.
I'm not always watching your eyes, so I can't tell if it's one of those ones where you're trying to blatantly rip off Twitch chat or.
No. I interviewed Santorin. We actually talked about it, so I need to go. In fact, my interview clip with Sneaky and Medios is somewhat poking fun at him for it. So whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, setting that aside. So saying Santorin is up there. So probably it sounds like you would rank Santorin, Bjergsen, and then Brokenblade 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think for the last series, I did vote Brokenblade over Bjergsen, for their last series. But I think the 2 series before that, I think it was all Bjergsen. So they're 2-1 for series.
I think also, do you have to still be in contention? Because like, what about FBI? They only won 1. They went 1-2, but he was beaten.
Aren't you in the regular split? Don't you normally say that the MVP should be on like one of the best teams?
I don't say that.
No,
I say it's like performance based. Like if FBI has big lane leads and is playing team fights well in every game, even if his team's losing, you could argue, his performance is incredible. What else is he supposed to do?
Flash forward to the FBI discussion.
Sick transition, dude.
Yeah.
So we got kind of into the nitty gritty there. I think you can make the case that Brokenblade's the best performing top right now, more so than like playoffs MVP and some of those conversations. He definitely has the most interesting champion pool, and he's playing a different style of top lane than the others right now, and the other styles are just naturally not interesting for viewers. I think coaches and players can appreciate, like, wow, what a great Shen game being down 5 CS to the counter pick Vlad. What great last hitting under turret.
But all the small brains in Twitch chat and Reddit.
Yeah, all of them are like, he's down CS, he's losing. Solo sucks. He fucking blinded Shen 4 games in a row. He has no champ pool, and there's no way he's doing it for his team, who needs counter picks in other positions, and for comp reason.
Mark, this is what creating the blame game for so long allows Mark to do. He can literally incept a Twitch chat or Reddit comment into his brain in any
Like
situation.
it's not there, but I'm pretending it is. No, I'm just saying that like that kind of play style will generally not make people make the argument that those are your best performing players compared to Renekton having, monster plays or Lucian or Jax and these kinds of things. So it's tough to say who's actually the best one because they're not playing in a way that makes the comparison easy.
I mean, I will say the people who are playing tanks, I think, they're not going to stand out as much as these carry players, but the flip side is like, if the carry player makes one mistake, it's like your fault. You lost the game. You died here, you lose. So I will say like Brokenblade, like he got caught out on Lucian one time, but it wasn't like a huge mistake. So I'll say overall, he's playing these like high risk, high reward picks, and he's pulling them off without like, too much punishment. So I will give him extra credit because all these tank players, maybe they don't get much attention, but when they mess up an engage or anything like that, no one really says much. Or like if they take too much damage and then have to flash out, we're like, he lost flash, but it's a tank, it's okay. So I'll say there's more criticism on Brokenblade when he picks like that, and I think he's been doing pretty well. So I'm fine with saying that for him as a top laner, but comparing him to like what CoreJJ's been able to do in their series, or Santorin, or even like Bjergsen, like overall, or FBI, I think they have done more in their games than Brokenblade has. And I think if Brokenblade has a standout performance against TL, they're able to do, make impact at punching bag.
I mean, that's Pr0lly.
Huh?
If TSM win, won't it be because of Brokenblade? If they do beat TL?
Yeah, I think a big reason why, if they could beat TL, I think a big reason will be Brokenblade's, champ pool is aggressive and they can actually play a top carry, which not many teams are doing. So I already said I think TL's kind of slow adapting, and they haven't played against many teams that focus topside that much.
I think, I pretty much agree. I also just have a preference for when the meta seems to like carry champs that you're actually playing them. I don't think tanks are necessarily bad in the meta either, because I think Europe plays a lot of tanks as well. So like LPL has its style, EU seems to have another style. They still like and there's teams in both regions who are playing them like that. It's not like this region only plays this style, but I think both are good right now. I just appreciate when someone's willing to take the risks that Pr0lly's talking about, because I think a lot of times in North America in particular, like what was happening with Wukong, it's like I could play Wukong, and I could learn a new champ, and I could fucking int, or I could play Ornn, and no one gives a fuck because I gave you 5,000 free gold at 28 minutes into the game, and a lot of North America goes, all right, I'll do the Ornn. So I appreciate Brokenblade, what he's doing a lot, and I would say he's probably the best playing top laner right now, and could end up the series. Right now, I'd say Bjerg's probably the playoffs MVP for TSM, and you can debate Santorin and CoreJJ as well. But Brokenblade could end up, if he hulks out on both these top laners playing weak side tanks.
Well, we'll have to see how it goes, Barb. It sounds like we're not convinced yet, but either way, thank you for the call. Anything you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
ALIENWARE is amazing, and I wish I had one, but I don't.
ALIENWARE.com/Travis, 17% off right now. Barb, thanks so much for the call.
Thank you. Have a great night, guys.
Have a good one.
Yeah,
all right.
That's an interesting one.
2 more callers to go. Mark? Oh, there he goes. Okay. I would, in MP Carlson, thank you for the prime. I was just about to say nobody has subbed recently for me to shout out, and then MP Carlson subbed. And Mark is back already with Shadowspectr. Shadowspectr, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Chicago, Illinois, which I got to call out Orochi for because he said Illinois. Not okay.
Yeah, I heard that too. I didn't say anything.
You think he wasn't calling? Like, you think he's an imposter?
No, I don't think that. I just think he pronounced the S by mistake. Can't do that.
Well, either way, what do you want to talk about on the show?
So my topic is that in light of the Immortals announcement today, that I think that the NA League scene needs to have more legal analysis and a more open, inclusive spread of contract information in order for the LCS to better thrive.
Are you a lawyer?
I am a lawyer.
Okay. Okay, so what? Yeah, help understand.
I need you to submit your bar, all your information, so we can.
The LCS is no stranger to people claiming that they are lawyers when they are not. Anyway, What? Probably really like that one. Which one?
That's a good one. I like that.
What do you want to help me get through this, Shadow? What is it that specifically that you're meaning by all this? Sorry, I'm stuttering over my words.
No, yeah. So I want to preface my comments by saying, like, first of all, I'm a commercial litigation attorney in Chicago. So a lot of what I do is breach of contracts, dealing with like businesses. And so I think that esports has good agents and good legal minds, but I think that they just need more
already
of them.
You're off to a rough start with me. But sorry, continue.
And so, well, basically, I think that you need like the esports community needs to do a better job of opening up what contracts players are entering into, and that really will help the labor markets, right? You're going to help players a lot by doing that because it helps with rookie minimums, guaranteed money, especially because the life of a pro player can be pretty volatile. I mean, if you look at just the difference between the NFL and Major League Baseball, you have just the way guaranteed dollars are treated, hard salary caps versus soft salary caps. Nobody really understands how, the esports market treats that. And in particular with League, it's still like, you still have a lot to kind of that's left undetermined. And as more revenue comes in, we need to kind of figure out how to do that.
Sorry, when you say that you want to open up the contracts, what does that mean? So are you saying you want everyone to be able to view these contracts, or
like open like for players as well, or because you start talking about like revenue and stuff?
Yeah. So I guess I'm trying to understand. Like, I understand the philosophy, right? You want there to be more transparency. You think that's good. We've talked about that before in the past, and years ago I even made a video saying I thought player salaries should be public. I'm asking specifically what this would look like.
So, for example, I think a good way of doing this is the way the NBA does it. So if you Google an NBA rookie contract right now, you'll get a standard PDF of what it looks like. And if you do like research on it, you know that whatever salary is offered based on where you're picked, you can negotiate anywhere between 80 to 120% of that salary. Almost all NBA teams will give you the 120%.
I don't see the PDF when I Googled it.
NBA rookie contracts?
I Googled NBA rookie contracts, so I see people talking about them, but I don't see a PDF.
Okay.
I'm just doing this is a show where we do live fact checking of our callers,
okay.
And
I think I found it. I just added PDF at the end.
Okay.
I think I found it, but I can't tell. It's called CBA
101.
No,
highlights
this is
of the collective bargaining agreement between.
Right.
Yeah, this is. NBA uniform player contract. IP mail. I'm looking.
Oh, it downloaded the DocX. I got a virus. I got a virus.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
This is what this whole call.
This is on purpose.
It's installing LeagueOfLegends.exe on my computer. Okay. So anyway, sorry. So let's just say we could find this contract. So, but that's like an example contract, right? I assume that you can't just read any NBA player's contract.
No, and I don't think necessarily that you should be able to read the specifics of any player's contract, but I think there should be a uniform understanding of what, things players can get. And then you can add in certain clauses for, obviously, like, somebody like a Doublelift or a Bjergsen has differences in their contract versus, somebody like an Ica who just got released from Immortals.
So, are you saying this needs to like change or improve because orgs are taking advantage of players, or because players aren't getting enough with their contracts because the players don't know?
Or both, I guess.
Or both.
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think it benefits owners as well, because a lot of I feel like the control is still behind Riot. Like, they're the ones that own the IP as well. So you have this weird kind of like third player, whereas you don't have that in sports. You just have owners and players. And now you have Riot, who essentially has to divulge power away to owners. That's what franchising was. It was Riot saying, hey, we're going to let owners have a little bit more say in how contracts are negotiated and how revenue is brought in.
Well,
right?
To be clear, just because I think perhaps you have a misunderstanding. The owners always negotiated directly with the players. And I don't think that, and increasingly over time, I think Riot, to my understanding, has put more work into like standardizing what, or restrictions on what it can and can't go into a contract. So for instance, even the Players Association helped with this last year, right? Where what was the thing? You could be dropped right before the
there was the Echo Fox situation 2 years ago.
Yeah, and you could be dropped right before. Was that I think that was last year. You could be dropped right before the trade or the window closed or whatever, and so you got screwed because you couldn't get signed for a team or whatever. So my only point is like it used to be like the team lawyers, I think, are generally quite good at putting stuff in there that is
beneficial to the
org. I have heard at times borderline predatory, and so Riot, in response to that, over the years has had to adjust, like, to put restrictions on, no, you can't have this in your contract, no, you can't have this in your contract has to guarantee this. So Riot has already done this. I don't think franchising has changed that to anything I have ever heard, Shadow. So I don't know if that's been reported somewhere else and I misunderstood, or you have information I don't, but like Riot already has been over time increasing this. Not really necessarily disagreeing with anything you're saying. I'm just saying like franchising didn't really change that. In fact, franchising increased the amount of agents that are in the scene. So I think you now have less instances, especially of established players versus rookies, getting it taken advantage of.
I mean, I think Riot's changed a good deal of how contracts are allowed to be written, like in terms of organizations taking control of players. Because I know you used to be able to have a non-compete clause as a org. You can put that in, so if you kick a player, they wouldn't be able to play for a year technically. And I think they did away with that a while ago. So I don't know.
I mean, we've heard the stories of Pobelter signing away his rights to Winter Fox or whatever a long time ago too. So yeah, there's like they used to be pretty bad. So sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, just nowadays I feel like the orgs have less chance to take too much of the pie. So I feel like if anything needs to change, it would be players being more knowledgeable about what they should be asking for or what's like out there in the marketplace. And I think it's really hard to get a gauge of what's out there.
And to Travis's point about agents in the esports scene, like the thing that an agent is supposed to be able to do is say, hey, I have this wealth of experience. I know what these contracts look like. I have X amount of other people I'm dealing with. I know what contracts should have in them and should not have in them. And when they're trying to pull a fast one on you, and that's where the 10 to 20% agents taking off the top is valuable, is that experience and their ability to handle that, as well as also negotiate for you and hopefully, result in a higher paycheck than what you get on your own. So
sorry, but back to your point, Shadow. You still worry that right now the players are getting screwed?
Yeah, I absolutely think that. I think that especially with the kind of like you have players who can be. I think like in sort of like kind of shifting away from what we were talking about earlier. Not just with the clauses that players don't really have knowledge about and don't know how to seek that information, but also even, high level players who can afford representation also get screwed from, the lack of a legal understanding from even a media perspective, which is a little bit different than kind of what we were talking about. I think a good example of this would be what happened with TSM and Lena and Doublelift and what a conflict of interest is. Right, like I don't think anybody reported what a conflict of interest was properly, and so you had everybody accusing, like TSM of violating conflicts of interest when it could have very easily been resolved with like just literally anybody else in the room with Lena, as the general manager saying, well, okay, we're going to pick up Doublelift because, or we're going to, punish Doublelift because, for whatever reason, if they wanted to bench him, all you would need is some level of oversight and there's no conflict of interest. And I think players get hurt when when the scene doesn't have more legal minds and when they either can't afford legal representation or they don't try to find a way to educate themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they usually get this stuff through their agent.
Right.
So that's like if you are, I think there are two ways to interpret what you were saying based off of my understanding of the scene. One is you could be critical of the existing agents because perhaps you feel like they are letting down the players that are in the space already, or you can be critical of players who are not taking agents because they are perhaps screwing themselves over. And by the way, I don't think that at all times every player has the opportunity, right? Like there are probably rookies coming out of scouting grounds that don't necessarily immediately have an agent or anything like that available to them. But I think that is perhaps where you are are frustrated because those agents, even if they are not lawyers themselves, should have access to a legal team who can assist in drafting, interpreting contracts, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. And I think greater transparency in the scene, when you have a better idea of what baseline contracts need to look like, allow people on the outside to be able to research those topics. When I was in law school, I was trying to find topics to be able to research for esports, and I found it increasingly difficult when, like, if I want to look at intellectual property laws, labor and employment trends, even right now, things that are going on with like Lyft and Uber, the gig economy and where that's headed, people are writing papers about that in law school right now.
I mean, I think esports has been riding the line on some law stuff for a while, right? Like gaming houses, I do not necessarily think are always the wisest legal decision. I am no lawyer, but I certainly imagine that there are there's a lot of liability that people open themselves up to, or the teams are opening themselves up to with these things, which is part of the reason I think you've partially seen more of a shift to offices over time. So I do agree. By the way, have you ever thought about writing any about this or whatever? Because I think part of the problem, right, is that like this is not something that is easily done by myself or Mark or other creators. Like it does require a bit of a legal perspective. And by the way, a lot of the lawyers that we see, Mark is doing an impression of a lawyer right now. A lot of the lawyers that we do see in the space are somewhat conflicted, right? Like when Bryce Blum opines on what players need, it's a little rough whenever he's sitting on the opposite side of the table from their agents whenever these contracts and negotiations are happening.
I definitely thought about it. I think I've tried. I mean, it's kind of, I think for me, I'm a little bit of an outsider. So I've reached out to some esports attorneys in Chicago just to try to see their perspective. But I definitely haven't gone out of my way to write anything yet. I'm still trying to, I guess, like see if there are ways in which I could influence it from the inside rather than the outside. But I've never had any luck kind of like communicating with anybody within the scene.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
think got some luck this time.
Yeah, you got on the show, so hopefully you can continue, because I do agree. I would like to see more conversation around this stuff. And like, good example. Here's the ironic thing: Twitch chat right now is like, oh, resident sleeper, can't believe Mark picked this color. But then all these same people will be having incredibly hot takes around conflict of interest and contracts and EchoFox stuff or whatever. Like, no interest in a topic that is about increasing the legal conversations and understanding of how this stuff works in the space and increasing transparency, but a lot of opinions whenever a legal dispute comes up.
Here's the thing: you need to be able to demonize someone, and this take isn't doing that. So when I say,
yeah, who did it?
Who shouldn't be allowed to treat their players that way, there needs to be more legal oversight. I actually don't want to talk about the legal oversight. I just want to complain about EchoFox.
Shadow, any shout outs or anything before we go on to our last caller?
Well, I mean, if it's okay with you guys, I was gonna shout out my own social media if players, are interested, if they want to reach out and kind of talk about different, legal issues if they have questions.
Sure, go for it.
Okay,
I don't know if you have any disclaimers or anything you're supposed to put into this legally, but you would know more than I.
Hashtag
ad. well, yeah. So I appreciate that, probably. So yeah, I guess technically it would be a hashtag ad for the FCC. Obviously, like in any conversation with me, the disclaimer would be that I'm not your attorney. Unless we were ever kind of engaged in that type of relationship. But this would strictly be kind of talking about things from a general perspective. But anybody can find me on Twitter at SAMEEUL_HAQUE. So if you have questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thanks for the call.
Also, just as a general tip of advice, Reddit loves the comments that say, or like the Reddit threads, if there's ever a drama going on around something legal, just say,
oh, yeah,
lawyer here.
Yeah, lawyer here. There you go.
Hot take. And then they'll fucking they'll eat that shit up.
I don't know. I saw with the TSM Lena and like double lift stuff, and that stuff was a mess. And I don't think anybody really got it right.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
If you made that Reddit thread and gave your points to you would have been number one.
Either way, yeah. And by the way, you never even have to prove your credentials. There's also people
no one knows.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's my last name, so people can look me up. So,
either way,
yeah.
thanks for the call.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, off to the last caller.
You're not gonna say anything about Mark's brown beard now?
No.
It's not real.
I mean, Mark is about as contrived and inauthentic as they come. So I'm not surprised that even his facial hair is fake.
What do you mean?
He's back.
What do you mean?
What is your? I'm trying to Escobar.
Yeah, it's Etienne Escobar.
Yes, like Jack Etienne.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you were just like it was just gonna be Jack, where you were coming in with your last name plus like a sus last name,
Jack,
and then
you're
gonna be like,
here. I think it's bullshit that C9 didn't get to Worlds.
Yeah, I figured because this was gonna be what I was gonna say. I suspect, like, can you imagine what Jack is doing behind the scenes right now upon hearing this Vietnam thing? He is like every person he can possibly call it right now. He's being like, hey guys, just so you know, C9 super ready to go to Worlds if you guys need to fill that other slot. Really down. Think it's a great idea. Imagine the fans. Think about the story. You know, we've been practicing. Think about. So anyway, Jack, where are you calling from?
I'm from Austin, Texas.
What do you want to talk about on the show?
My take was that TL only lost to FLY because they used the winners finals to try new comps to try to show to other teams that they were flexible, and it obviously did not go that well. So I think they're just going to use this week to practice what they have, and then they're going to 3-0 TSM and 3-0 FLY to get first place in NA.
I think there's some truth to that. I do think they use winners bracket to try out stuff. I do think, however, that they believe this also gave them the highest chance to win, and it was a bonus that it was a new comp. I don't think they were playing these comps going like, if we lose, it's whatever. I think they still were playing it because they thought they were X amount level good at it. But if they go back to their normal style, I don't agree with them being able to 3-0 either team. I believe they could win, but not 3-0. I think that's very far away from what TL can accomplish right now.
Why do you not think 3-0?
Because I think the way that they play and what they've shown is going to be a really slow style. It's going to be tank top. And I doubt no other team can come up with a strategy to beat them in one of those 3 games. Because they don't play this unbeatable style. We talked a lot on the desk about how they like don't really beat themselves. But in this last week, as soon as they started changing comps and then trying to go back, they started making those mistakes where they're giving the opponent a chance to actually beat them. And Flyquest did a good job of punishing that. But that was a kind of a new mistake Team Liquid started to do, where they're showing some kind of holes in their play, and I don't think it was a comp-specific problem.
Right. I mean, even if you assume that the caller's take is right, I still think you need to give TSM and Flyquest enough respect to say, like, hey, they're still good enough that a TL playing their bread and butter and playing well could still drop a game in a 5-game series to these teams. I also totally agree about Pr0lly's point about, like, or the caller's point too, I guess, about like they were definitely experimenting a little bit more. I'm sure they had great success with these comps and scrims. I don't think you ever lose a bunch while experimenting and then go, fuck it, still running it game 1. You know, like I don't think any team has ever done that. So they must have been having some success with this kind of dive focus with Shen, Hecker, and Pr0lly. And if I'm being honest, it's a pretty good sounding comp. You know, if the enemy team especially has any form of a mobile backline, like that sounds pretty dope to me for trying to kill someone. It seemed good. It's definitely not what their strength is. And, you know, Jensen didn't get a Zir till game 5 when, you know, if you asked me what Jensen's best champ this split was, it was the Zir. So I think there are some of these things, or are you going to you think he had a better champ or?
No, I think that's a good point I think TL finally did get like their comp in that game 5. And I think they were getting like outperformed.
That was one of the biggest stops in the series.
That was like one of the biggest ones where they had Azir, Ash Bard, like an Ornn. I would say like all 4 of those like super high tier for TL. Volibear, I would say is like pretty high up there, maybe not the highest. But they got smashed in this game. And I thought this was like when I saw this draft, I was more scared for Flyquest because I was like, oh, this is like exactly what TL wants. And Flyquest is also rolling like a kind of a pick comp, not very good team fights, and the games were decided in team fights. So this is what kind of worries me about TL being able to 3-0. Is like I did see them have their own style, and someone who has a similar style to them was kind of able to twist the game and make it more about picks and skirmishes and team fights and beat them in that 5th game.
I mean, I guess we're gonna have to see how things go over the course of this. I mean, Caller, I mean, what gives you so much confidence? I mean, especially that you think it's just going to be a sweep.
I think the main reason is like in that Fly series, the best player for TL was tactical. I would say throughout all 5 games, he looked really good. And like while he's a good player, I think if your best player on TL isn't Core JJ or Jensen, like the team is just having an off series, I would say. So I really think next week, I do not think Jensen and Core will both underperform at the same time. I think if both are performing, or even if one's performing, you easily win that series.
Oh man, you think Core? I mean, I agree with Jensen definitely having a bad series. I think it's like a Collie game looked pretty good, but other than that, it looked kind of messy. But I don't know. I thought Core was actually pretty solid most of the series. You thought he was weaker than he usually plays?
I just saw like especially the Zyre game, he kept getting caught on hooks twice that affected the leads, and then even on the Bard game, I felt like he was like too shy on Bard ults and stuff, and didn't try to make any plays, which is a result why they just got bled out because they didn't try to do anything. And he usually tries to make plays on Bard.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree that Tactical was their best player, but he's often been in a lot of times like there's not second best. I don't know how to put this, but like Jensen's the primary carry in a lot of their games, but he's the backup, and he's not like shitty backup kind of like he's often hulking out in their games. He has been incredible all year long, and easily could have been. I mean, he got Rookie of the Split for a reason. So I think Jensen underperformed a little bit, but it also speaks, I think, to Flyquest's strengths. They're so good at fucking up your game plan. Like, if there's one thing they do well, it's that they fuck up your game plan. Like, I have no doubt that should TSM beat TL and go and play Flyquest in the finals, Flyquest will have this game plan around shitting on these volatile carries, like Pr0lly was saying. When you look bad, and you look really bad. Like, Santorin will have some weird ass paths. He'll have some awkward gank timings to throw Brokenblade for a loop. That's what they're good at. And Ignar's really good at roaming and leaving bot lane. So like, I think they underperformed in the sense that they went up against an opponent playing really well. In League is a zero-sum game, and when someone else is playing well, you're almost always going to look bad.
I do think that the Jensen Bjergsen thing is somewhat being underhyped. We're trying to rush out a video at TGI for maybe Wednesday or Thursday that looks at that matchup, or rather, it looks at those two players historically, and the fact that Jensen has been okay over there, Mark.
Yeah, Mike's jumping at my cats.
Okay. Yeah, there's a very large cat on the bed right now. But the fact that Jensen has been really downplaying TSM and downplaying Bjergsen, I feel like should put a lot of pressure on him to perform that match. So I'm interested to see how it goes.
I did like do you not see that like Reddit comment about like the game 4 when Jensen picked Zilean?
Oh,
I didn't see this.
It was basically just like Jensen like wanting attention about his Zilean being better than Bjergsen's Zilean or something like that. And it's a hypothetical situation, but I like the idea of it. He's like, he picked this champion, in an elimination match to try to prove he's better.
Yeah.
I also just liked all the copy pastas with like, I think the quote that Jensen said was like, TSM's totally overrated. I can't believe that. Yeah. And everyone's just like, Jensen's so overrated. I can't believe just with the conversation that's gone on in the last month, there's so much on the line for like personal pride.
Yeah. And I like it, by the way. And this is like, I'm really worried that, everyone's going to shit on Jensen. Jensen's going to lose and like pro players just won't do it again. Like this has been nice. This has been fun to see somebody try to build themselves up and cast down the favorites. So I think it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
It certainly makes our jobs more interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. And it like that means you can still meme him if Jensen loses, but like the whole like slide into the DMs like that one Travis posted, and they're like, "Fuck you, Jensen, you suck, and you'll always be in Bjergsen's shadow, and I hope you die." Like that.
Yes.
That's not a meme, dude. That's not.
Hey, listen. Pro players get paid a lot of money, Mark. It is by right, based off of how much money their organization pays them, to be able to DM them terrible things. Anyway, Escobar, any shoutouts, plugs, anything you want to say before we wrap up the show?
Just thanks for doing this show. It's like in all your interviews, it's really cool to see League players' perspectives and just all these calls and takes and yours opinions on them.
Thank you. It's really fun to do the show. I think I mean, I was thinking about this earlier today. Mark, when we first started the show, you remember what our like only not that I think of the other shows as a competition, because we suck, but do you remember what the only other competition was?
When we started this?
Yes.
No, I honestly
it was
don't know.
Skara and Cutie Pie's show. That's how long. That's how long this show has been running.
I was doing a show with Skara before.
Before this, yes, but then Skara and Cutie Pie did their show. What was it? Beyond the Rift.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about Beyond the Rift.
Yes,
yeah.
Because it's like it feels so long ago. This is I mean, I think the Dive might beat us, and I guess Summoning Insight's been around for a long time, though it's been gone on and off hiatus.
Hiatus. Yeah.
If you told me that we are the longest running non-Riot show at this point in time, I would believe you, because
and we're not even good.
Because I think we're coming up on 3 years. So
it's good when someone comes on, but not always here.
Oh, Pr0lly here still. Yeah, Pr0lly. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Escobar, thanks so much for coming on the show. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, I think that's.
Let's call it. Let's get me out of here, huh?
Yeah. Mark, what do you want to plug? What do you want to shout out? What's going on?
Just want to plug next week's games. It's the finals. We have some dope storylines. I think everyone should watch that. I don't know where we're at with the book thing. Are we still doing one this week?
No. So because I've been focusing on your project, I have not finished editing the last video.
Right. So we're right.
So we still got some time, but I think once I'm done with your project, I will be able to light back up the book channel again.
All right, on this other favor, can I ask like what % you think you're
I'm not interested in having this conversation.
Oh no.
But I can deliver the first third of it to you tomorrow.
Oh god, you're not, dude. Are you
baking him a cake?
No. All right. It's Pr0lly's turn to do this.
There's a set of self-photographed images that Mark has requested of me in different outfits, and anyway, Pr0lly, what do you got? What do you want to shout out? What's going on with you?
I am really worried that I'm not going to get my in and out. So can I actually get?
When do you want to do that?
Because you need to.
We have to mask up.
There.
I get. Yeah. Oh wait, am I delivering it to you, or are we like going together?
I mean, we can go together. That's fine. I mean, if you had it delivered, then
I'm now realizing.
It's
I
a little bit more
priority
was
you and I going together. Now I'm realizing you're like, I could go with you, I guess. So now I'm realizing the priority was the in and out.
Yeah, actually, I actually do. I like the fandom of me opening my door and you're there, and I get to be upset with you or something. Be like, it's late, it's cold. What are you doing with your life?
And there's also like a bit more of a personal.
You could be like the Twitter DM.
Yeah, the servitude part. Yeah, maybe you could feed me the fries as well.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go together, it's more like your friend.
Maybe during a non-pandemic, I would feed you the fries, but I'm not putting my hand in your mouth.
Dude, what are those little dino claw things? You know, like just pick it up. It's like
the stretch.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And then you could film it, and boom, content 2 for 1. I
like
get my
the
in and
thing
out,
that they used to pick
content.
up trash on the side of the road or whatever. Yeah.
Preferably with some trash residue on it.
Okay. Good.
But that's my priority right now. I haven't eaten out in a long time, and I'm on keto, so I only get to eat it once a week. So next Monday is gonna be the day.
Wait, so it's a specific day?
Yeah, it has to be.
Do this on.
I mean, I guess I
was
can
part of the
switch
agreement.
I can switch it up.
New rules up. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like I did not agree to a specific.
I'm also
day.
doing intermittent fasting, so you have to be here at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right, Mark's giving me
during rush hour. You need to deliver.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about, because this is something you can't just pay someone to go give it to me. It's like you have to go do it. So I'm really worried that Travis is not going to pull through. So I hope anyone watching can pressure Travis with me to make sure he fulfills his promise.
Yeah. Well, the community has pressured me to do all sorts of great stuff in the past, and it doesn't usually work out well for them. Anyway, for me, the Double Lift interview is up. Go check it out. I think it's really good. It's very long. And then as long as I can complete this project I'm working on for Mark, I will hopefully have a video for the book YouTube channel. I feel really bad that I didn't do one last week, because I've been trying to do one once a week. We only have 2 up so far. So either way, take a look for that if you want to check out books. I feel like there was something else I wanted to shout out, but I have a TikTok, and I've posted my first TikTok. Travis Gafford. Check me out on TikTok.
Mark saying yikes? I thought you liked TikTok, Mark.
Not Travis Gafford TikTok.
My TikTok is good. People really like it.
We done here?
Either way, thanks everyone. This has been Hotline League 130.
7.
I think it was 8. It's 138. Yes, that's right. Okay.
All righty. Catch you guys later.
Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.
Bye.